So I've been noticing a bit of a trend. There are an absolutely ridiculous amount of double grass teams right now in the Spring Cup. If you're facing a lot of double grass teams, boy, do I have the team for you. Of course, it's not rocket science to tell you that if you face a lot of double grass in the back, you should run double ice. But as always, I'm also going to show you not just how to beat the double grass teams, but also how to play your way out of some very, very difficult leads with this team as well. Overall, this actually worked very well despite the fact that I don't face a lot of double grass. So if you're facing a lot of double grass, this team is probably going to work incredibly well for you. Going right into the first game, we lead into a grass in the lead. Trevenant, save swap Ninetales, always have lowland Ninetales because Abomasnow has a lot more sweeping potential in the back. Also, it's kind of tradition on my channel that I forget to TM one of my Pokemon before making a new team. This time it's a lowland Ninetales. You definitely want Psyshock on a lowland Ninetales, not Dazzling Gleam, because of this matchup specifically. So I get punished. But we lure out the Tentacruel, which is part of the strategy with this team. If you can use the Alolan Ninetales to lure out Tentacruel, your Abomasnow is going to have a lot of play in the back. So we bring back in Lantern, and my plan is just to farm this all the way down. They've already shown Acid Spray, so I think they're not going to have Sludge Wave, which is very nice. Now we can just farm it down, come out with a lot of energy, swap into Abomasnow once they come back in. I assume they're going to bring back in their Trevenant. And they have Walrein in the back. And this is very playable, because if you land 2 baits, you can actually win this if you have a bit of an energy advantage. So I go up right before they get to the next one. It's always 5 Powder Snows to the Icicle Spear. And I go for the bait. Very risky bait. We land it. They shield. Very nice. But they must also be aware that I am going to win this if I bait them again. So I am calling they're not going to shield this. I go straight for it. If I land the bait, I win. And we land the energy ball. Boom! Down goes the Walrein. And you see how I overfarm? You know I always overfarm if you watch a lot of my videos. I do that because sometimes they miscount. They lose count. And we get to the weather ball. And we take out the Trevenant as well. Very nice first game. Next game, we lead into a Roserade. Yikes. Save swap Ninetales again. And it doesn't go through, so they get a bit of an energy advantage. This is such a bad lead, Roserade. It kinda core breaks my team, but you don't face them a lot, so I think it's okay to be core broken by Roserade. Get off the weather ball, grab the shield, and they go for another weather ball themselves, and I let it go this time. I don't think I can farm it down with Lantern before they get to a Grass Knot, so I decide to bring in Abomasnow here. I don't really like revealing my third Pokemon. Also, the Poison Jabs do so much damage. And then they bring in Jellicent. Because they stayed in with Roserade, I'm thinking they might be strong against Lantern as well in the back. So this is pretty rough. They only threw 4 Hexes, so this is only a Surf. But it's probably just because they want that little bit of damage in. And there comes the Trevenant. Yikes. Go for the weather ball. They shield it, of course. And can Lantern do something against Trevenant? Up a shield. They go up to the back-to-back Seed Bomb. Always takes 5 for the Seed Bomb. CMP tie them with Thunderbolt. And I know they're gonna get to back-to-back Seed Bomb again here after 5 Shadow Claws. So I kind of have to CMP tie them on the first one, even though that means it's only on the Surf, because otherwise they're just gonna throw 2 and they win CMP. So if I want any damage in, I have to throw the Surf. I just hope that my Abomasnow can sweep in the back. They take out Lantern with the Seed Bomb. Can we sweep them? No. Abomasnow just doesn't have enough HP. Next game, we lead into a Shadow Mawile. Very good lead. They swap in a Shadow Kingdra. And I stay in to get a bit of energy because I have a very dominant matchup in the back with my Alolan Ninetales. So I can just stay in and get some energy. They throw the Octazooka, get the attack drop. It doesn't really matter. I just have to make sure that they don't grab a shield off of me before I can grab a shield off of them. So I go up to back. And because I got the attack drop, I have to throw the second one as well. And they shield it. And I have to shield this as well because it's a Mawile in the lead. I cannot allow it to see my Abomasnow. I have to keep switch. And here I know they're quite far away from their next move, so I allow them to get in some extra Dragon Breath. So I leave with less HP, so the Mawile gets less farm. And I'm expecting them to sack the Mawile because it just can't really do anything against Lantern, which is why I go for the Thunderbolt. And then they swap in Lantern, I swap in Abomasnow, and yeah, we just kind of RPS the opponent there. Next game, we lead into a Tentacruel, and they swap in Trevenant. An important detail, you should probably swap in Abomasnow here because it can take a Seed Bomb, whereas the Golden Ninetales can't. Also, you have to swap in quite quickly. If you swap in before they get 2 Shadow Claws, you can get to a move before they get to a Shadow Ball, meaning you can grab the shield before they do. If they get 2 Shadow Claws in here, you really want to not throw immediately because it's going to be on a CMP and you lose CMP. Also, you see I'm going to lose switch here because I swapped in a Alolan Ninetales. I could have maybe shielded that Seed Bomb, probably swap in a Abomasnow on the Trevenant, and it's a lot more safe. Bring in Abomasnow, found them down, but now I've lost switch, so I get it onto Tentacruel. But this is not the end. This is also a game where I show you how not to play this, so that you know how to play it afterwards. Get off the energy ball, I swap in my Lantern, they swap in Roserade, but Lantern actually outpaces Roserade to 2 Thunderbolts before it gets to a Weather Ball and a Grass Knot if you have a bit of energy advantage. It takes 12 poison jabs to get to a Weather Ball and a Grass Knot, so I know I can get to a Thunderbolt before they get to the Grass Knot, and they realize it too. I'm playing at a quite high elo, so they go for the Weather Ball just to get off some damage because they know they're not going to get to the Grass Knot. But this allows me to undercharge, so I can get in some more sparks, and this undercharge is actually huge. It is absolutely clutch because now I force the Tentacruel to throw after only 2 poison jabs. And because they didn't get to overfarm very much, I actually get to outpace them with my Abomasnow. Whereas if I didn't undercharge that Thunderbolt, the Tentacruel would have been able to farm a lot more on my Lantern and also been able to get to a move on my Abomasnow. Very clutch play. Next game, we lead into the Lantern lead. And this is another game where I kind of make a bit of a misplay. Lantern lead is very awkward for this team because you kind of have to swap out at some point to lure out the Tentacruel, which is often in the back. But also, what are you really gonna swap into? I mean, maybe a play is to just sacrifice the Shadow Alolan Ninetales. I stay in, which is definitely a misplay, and I let my Lantern go down. Actually get to the Thunderbolt. You can live if you have a very good Lantern. But now if they have a Tentacruel in the back, I'm just not really going to be able to do anything. And wouldn't you know it, there's a Tentacruel in the back. And since I'm staying in, I think they're going to realize I'm weak to Tentacruel because I'm staying in a very bad matchup. So I'm assuming they're going to shield this, which is why I go for the bait. And I kind of have to shield, just hoping it's a Scald and it doesn't run Acid Spray, but it is Acid Spray. And we don't even get to the Energy Ball, and that's just game over. Not a lot we can do there. Next game, we lead into a Ferrothorn. Swap out immediately into Ninetales, and they swap into a Roserade, which this is a pretty neutral matchup. But because I swapped before them, I get to my Wither Ball before they get to theirs. And I'm assuming they're going to try and CP time me here. You saw I played against Stone Collection. He's very, very good. So I know he's going to try and play to every advantage. And then I go for the Wither Ball afterwards. So I didn't want to go for the CMP tie. I went for 1 extra. Not that it really makes much of a difference. I know that I've lost switch. Very important detail. I'm just going to pause here. If you see, I could bring in Abomasnow, but then they're going to get to a move that could take out my Abomasnow in the Weather Ball. They're either going to get to a Grass Knot on my Lantern or a Weather Ball on my Abomasnow. I know I've already lost switch and there's a Ferrothorn in the back. So my Lantern is just not going to have a lot of play, which is why I decide to pretty much sacrifice it by bringing it in here. I know they're going to get to the Grass Knot or a Leaf Storm. But I'm thinking a shield up my Abomasnow might have some play here. So I bring it in, get that 1 Powder Snow's worth of energy, and they bring in the Ferrothorn. So they might be weak in the back, to Abomasnow. Abomasnow is just very good as a sweeper once you lure out the Tentacruel, which is also one of the reasons why this team works so well. And why you really want to save up a Alolan Ninetales and utilize Abomasnow as a sweeper in the back. They bring in Pelipper. I go for the Weather Ball. And instead of throwing my second one immediately, I know they're only going to get to like a Weather Ball here. I'm okay with taking this. I'm just going to go up to back because my only lose con at this point is that they have been 5-hit playing me by throwing the Power Whip earlier on Ferrothorn, and they actually do have Mirror Shot. So I decide to go for the potential CMP tie here. That's my only lose con, is if they get off a Mirror Shot on me somehow. But they don't have it, so I just take them out. Next game we lead into a Walrein. And they swap into a Gourgeist, which is quite awkward because one Weather Ball isn't enough to take them out from this range, so I have to take a move. So I decide to overfarm instead of throwing my Weather Ball immediately to come out with more energy. But now I'm down a shield, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Trevenant in the back, because if you're running Gourgeist, it's because you're running double Ghost Grass, right? Or that's at least what I'm thinking. You're not running Gourgeist as the only Ghost Grass. Like, you're choosing Trevenant. I go up to try and CMP tire them on the Earthquake here after 9. They don't fall for it. Go for another Psyshock. And they overfarmed by 2. So they are 3 away from a Weather Ball at this point. At this point you saw I brought in the Abomasnow. I was almost sure that they were going to swap out immediately. Like, it just doesn't make sense for them to stay in. So instead of bringing in my Lantern, have them swap and then I swap and then I'm down some energy, I just make, you would probably say, a bit of a risky play, and I just bring in the Abomasnow immediately. That way I get a hit of energy instead, because I was so sure they were going to swap out immediately to Trevenant. So I get to my Weather Ball first, of course grab the shield, and regardless of whether or not this is a bait, I decide to shield it because the Powder Snows is going to put the Trevenant into a range where my Lantern can deal with it afterwards. As you see how much the Powder Snows do. I grab the last shield here, and now my Lantern from full health should be able to deal with it. Whereas if I had taken a Shadow Ball and no shielded it, it would have still had so much in it, so much health, that my Lantern would have struggled with it. And instead of throwing my Surf here, I just decide to overfarm because the Seed Bomb is not gonna kill anyways, and the Walrein is not at a move, so I can just farm it down and throw my Thunderbolt. They top left in my charge move, which is something I see more and more people do. I do it myself too, I don't even know why. Next game, we lead into an Abomasnow. Again, I swap in my hard answer, but I just like to use Abomasnow as a closer instead of a Alolan Ninetales. So I use Alolan Ninetales to bring out the Tentacruel, go for the Psyshock, and here I go for the Weather Ball, which I didn't really have any reason to. I'm not going to get to another one, bit of a silly play, but we grab the shield. If you're the Tentacruel in this matchup, I would definitely say that you should throw a move instead of farming down, spending the shield, but I like the fact that I get to take the shield, because now Abomasnow is maybe going to be able to sweep in the back up a shield, bring in the Lantern, absorb all the energy, farm them all the way down. And Lantern can still do a bit of energy on the grass types like Abomasnow and Trevenant with a Thunderbolt. It's not a lot, but it's pretty nice chip damage to just get in here. It puts it in a range where I only have to go for one Weather Ball on my own Abomasnow, which is pretty nice. Swap in my own Abomasnow, they go for a move right away. Takes 5 for the first, 4 for the second, so they're 4 away now. I really don't want them to catch a move here. So you see I wait a turn every time. I go up to right before they get to the move, and then I wait a turn. Here they win 1 over. It takes 5 for the third Weather Ball as well. So I'm going to throw 3 more, and then I'm going to wait a turn to make sure they don't catch it. And they just try to catch it on Lantern, so I go for the Energy Ball instead. And I can't really take a Thunderbolt at this range, so I decide to CMP tire them here. It takes 7 for the Thunderbolt. And they're 1 away from their move on Abomasnow. So I do 1 more, and then I catch the Weather Ball on my Lantern. Very nice play. And they go for a very nice play here too. They have to come out with a move here, so they go for an undercharge on my Lantern. So in the hopes that they can farm it down, come out with a move for my Abomasnow afterwards. Next game, we lead into an Araquanid, and they'd save swap Lantern, I come in with my Abomasnow, and this is actually not as good of a matchup as you might think, as you're gonna see here. If you go straight Energy Ball, the Lantern actually has a bit of play, or it becomes very close. I go straight for the Energy Ball, anticipating they were gonna let it go, but they don't. They shield it. And at this point, I'm so low that I'm gonna have to start shielding serfs, because otherwise they're gonna be able to spark me down. I try to CMP tie them on the next one. They don't allow it. And they shield again. And at this point, I actually have to go for the CMP tie on the next one, just praying they're not gonna catch it, because otherwise they get to the surf before I get to the Energy Ball. But they don't catch it. We get off the Energy Ball. We take out the Lantern. They bring back an Araquanid. They get in 9 Bug Bites. It takes 14 for a Bubble Beam, 20 for a Bug Buzz. Bring in the Lantern. And I really don't want them to catch, but they have a 1-turn move, so it's very difficult to make sure they don't. They go for a Bug Buzz. I try this throw in kind of unpredictable timing. Not sure if it was the most unpredictable, but we get off the Thunderbolt. They swap out. I swap out immediately, thinking they're weak to Ninetales in the back, or at least not weak to Lantern in the back. But they were weak to Lantern in the back because they have a Confusion Bruxish. Very, very cool spice. I'm not sure it's all that good in this meta. It's good at beating Tentacruel, but not much else. Get off 2 Weather Balls. And Bruxish is just so frail, it can't really take anything. So bring back in Lantern and we spark it down. Very nice. They concede the match. And that was actually, I went 7-3 with this team. I didn't have the time to play a lot of games today, unfortunately, and the queue times are just ridiculous. Because I am all the way up to like almost front page on the leaderboard right now. 31-13 elo. Very cool. It worked out so well, this team. That was the last battle, and overall, this team was incredible. Like, I made this team for you guys, not because I thought it was going to be good at my elo, but because I've been watching some lower elo gameplay where I see everybody is just facing 80% Pelipper double grass, Tentacruel double grass, Mawile double grass, like double grass everywhere. I wasn't facing a lot of double grass. I was facing a lot of really difficult teams for my team, and it still performed well somehow. So if you're facing a lot of double grass backline, you're gonna do so well. Just make sure you get that Abomasnow in on Trevenant and don't make the same mistakes as I do. Fun fact of the day, Lantern, Spark Lantern beats Shadow Abomasnow in the 2 shields if it gets 3 sparks advantage, and Abomasnow goes straight Energy Ball, which most Abomasnows do. That is just incredible. I was not aware of this. Of course, you have to bait twice in order to do this, according to the Sims. But if you land that first Thunderbolt, which Abomasnow is not going to shield, yeah, it can actually be done with only 3 sparks. Remarkable. If you enjoyed this video, or you feel like you learned something, like and subscribe. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.